Well, we'll just get started. We're very excited to present to you today Acumatica 2021. There's a lot of new functionality, new little features. We're going to bring to you some of the ones that we felt are the most impactful for every business that's attending this meeting today. One thing that I do want to bring up in case you're not aware is that Acumatica 2021 now has an integration to Shopify and BigCommerce. So if you're thinking of changing your e-commerce platform, or if you have Shopify or BigCommerce and you're not integrated with Acumatica, there is a native integration that is available in 2021. And having said that, I'm going to hand it over to Tim. If you do have any questions while he's doing the presentation, please go ahead and write them down, and we will have a Q&A at the end of the meeting. Thank you so much, and here's Tim.
Perfect. Thank you, Patricia. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this morning or afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. Gonna just dive right in and just start showing a few things. First thing I want to talk about is some of the high-level UI improvements that Acumatica has done with the 2021 R1 release. One of the big ones is when you go into your sales order screen and purchasing, and I believe invoices as well, we have a new tab. They've reordered the tabs a little bit to where they have taken out on our financial tab and our shipping tab the address information that is associated with our customer and location from that customer. So they've added this new tab called addresses. So it really cleans up the financial tab and the shipping tab, which was a little bit busy before. And now it puts all of that information on one tab for you to be able to interact with. So that's kind of the first one. The other one is we have now a search history within the universal search. And this history button will let you view the last 300 records that you have searched. So it's real, and it orders them by, record type of what you searched for. So if you searched for something in, say, item class, you can go back and see what that was, click on that, and it will reinitialize that search for you and take you to that specific location if it's a location within Acumatica. So that can be super helpful. If you're not using the universal search, you're missing out. It's a really powerful tool within Acumatica. You can search to specific documents, file attachments, and then now with the being able to see the recently viewed items, I'm able to see the last 300 records that were searched. So that's one. The other one is if I go back into my sales order screen, you'll now see there's a new save button at the top. So when I make a change to a record and I want to, typically you would have to hit save and then hit back and move back. Well, now they've included a save the current record and close that screen. So when I just click that, it's going to take me back to my sales order list. So that's a little bit of a time saver there to get that from just having to hit the save and then the back button. The other thing that they've added is now a purchase order link within the purchase order to sales order. So when I'm in a sales order and I have a drop ship PO, so in this example, I have marked my sales order line to be a drop ship and a linked PO. And you'll see that I've got my PO linked here, but on the other side of that, we didn't have a really good inline addition where we could see the sales order that was linked to that purchase order. Now we do. So now I'm in the purchase order for this line item that is a drop ship. And now I have that full linking back to the order. And then I also have it linked to which line in the order am I linked to. So from a visibility and kind of cradle to grave history for that, now we're fully linked between those two. And then if you're, just as kind of a tips and tricks, always use the power of your browser. This isn't really a new feature, but I like to show it in that, I can duplicate a tab and have as many of these open as I want. The ability to use the browser functions to increase or decrease my screen resolution. So if I want to make, more real estate on the screen, I can just kick it down or kick it up. My eyes are getting bad as I get older, so I wanted a little bit larger font, but I'm just using the power of the browser for that. And also remember down here, you have the ability to collapse your menu to kind of go to these smaller icons if you need. And that gives you more screen real estate, as well as within the document, I can move this header away if I want to get additional space for my grid results of data. Just a few little things. I'm going to try to put tips and tricks together for another webinar in the future where it's, just little things that can help your users be more optimal in their experience with Acumatica. Kind of moving on to something a little bigger. If I go into my marketing and I go into my contacts, we now have the ability to scan business cards directly into Acumatica. So I'm going to pull up my my iPhone screen, and I'm going to go into the Acumatica application, the mobile application, and I'm going to associate it with my 21R1 demo account. And the way you get to that is down at the bottom, I can set up multiple accounts within the mobile application. I mean, we do a lot of demos and we do them out of a lot of different environments, but it's really nice if you have a sandbox or if you have a UAT site that you're testing for an upgrade or something like that, we can associate that mobile app and test that with the new features. Your app is always uploaded or updated if you have updates allowed on your iPhone or your Android device. So you're always going to have the latest mobile app that Acumatica has released to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. In this instance, I'm just going to use my facial recognition to log in to Acumatica. And then once I have that, it's going to pull it up and I'm going to go down to my contacts. And I'm going to click on that. And at the bottom right, you're going to see 3 little dots. And I'm going to click on that. And it's going to now give me the ability to capture a business card using the camera on my phone. So I'm just going to do that. And it will auto size and try to grab it. I didn't have to take a picture or anything like that. I just get it close to the business card and it's going to take a picture of that. This also works with the expense management component. So the same kind of take a picture without even having to touch and take the actual physical picture, it does it automatically. And now when I hit done, so if it looks good, I have a little bit of features that I can do. Obviously, I can just grab a corner and resize, depending on that, if it didn't quite get it correctly. The other thing I can do is I can hit the rotate button to get it to where I want it to look. And again, it's going to kind of shift out the grip points. So I'm just going to take those grips and resize them real quick. But again, I didn't have to do that. I'm just showing, you know, the things that you can do. And once I get that kind of close, and I'm having a hard time grabbing this one in the corner down here. There you go. And then I can also go to what the card looks like. So if I need to get a little bit better contrast, I can scroll through the various contrast selectors. And once I get it to where I want it pretty close, I hit done. And then now it's going into our machine learning and artificial intelligence optical character recognition engine. And it's going to then grab and pull out as much data as it can recognize. It's pretty good. It's getting better every release. We've seen that when we're demoing it, it does learn over time. When it scans like cards a second or third time, it gets better and better and better. And that's with both this and the expense management and also the AP document recognition engine. So those three components all use that same machine learning artificial intelligence engine. So we grabbed our card. We got most of it. It didn't pull my job title or the business account. It didn't. I don't have this one actually in the system, so it didn't key off of that. So we would have to go in and enter those bits just manually in the application. But it got my address. For the most part, everything looks good. Once I get everything the way I like it, I click the save button at the top right, and then it's in the system and it's added it to my Acumatica site. The other thing that it's also done is it's taking a copy of that business card as an attachment and added it as that record. So if we go now search for Bill, or if we look through our records for Bill McLean should now be in the system. There he is. So if I go into that record now, you'll see that we have the file attachment associated with Bill as far as his actual business card. So that's the capture business card to the mobile device. One thing that you do have to do is if it's part of your license key, you do have to go into the enable feature, and this is something we can actually work with you and do for you. You do have to turn this business card recognition feature on, and I'm sure it's probably right there in front of me and I can't see it, but there is a business card management feature that you have to turn on, just as you do with the AP document recognition and expenses. So those are the three check boxes that if you have that feature or those features, you actually have to enable them in the platform. Now I want to move over to some features that they've added in the generic inquiry tool. So we're going to pull up generic inquiry and kind of walk through some changes that they've made. I'm going to pull one up that we're going to use for this section of the demo, and it's called track packages. The first thing that they've done is they've now added the ability to use an action to change that inquiry title. So the actual ID of your generic inquiry, as well as, and this has been in a few versions before, the ability to change my screen ID. So if I have a conflict or I need to make a copy or something like that, I want to be able to change that screen ID to push to my sitemap within my menu system. So the ability to go in and change the inquiry title. So I can just now call this, track packages. Before you couldn't do this. You were once you established it, you were stuck with it. So now you can go in and change that inquiry title on your generic inquiry. The second one, which is I thought was kind of a clever thing and we've needed for a while, is the ability to utilize URL links within the output of an inquiry. So right now, if I just run this inquiry the way it is right now, I have a tracking number, but it doesn't have any intelligence built into it right now. So it not like my other areas within the system where if I have a hyperlink, I'm able to click on it and take me somewhere. So in this example, what I want to do is I want to show you how we can create that URL link to then, we're going to specifically use FedEx, but use FedEx and then use their tracking tools to be able to click on this link and open up the FedEx track packages component so that we can look at it that way. So how do we do that? So what we need to do is we need to go over to this navigation tab on our output for our generic inquiry. And you'll see I have a side panel already established here. But what I need to do is I need to create a new link, and then I'm going to cheat a bit because I have the format of the URL that I want to grab, and we'll talk about this. So on this link, this is just their track package number, and it usually goes all the way out to this equal sign. And then I've added the 2 open parentheses, track number, and the 2 closed parentheses at the end. So I'm going to utilize that to allow us to do that track packages. So I'm going to paste that link into my navigation target. And I want this to open up in a new pop-up window. When I click the link, I want it to open up the FedEx track packages window and display it there. So I'm going to save that. And then when I save that, it's going to open up my navigation parameters now to where I can add that track number. So it's utilizing the end of that URL because of the way I've formatted it with the open and closed double parentheses. It knows that's a variable now. So I'm going to now utilize that variable or that parameter, and I'm going to go in and select now my my tracking number field, which is in my SO package detail table. I just probably passed it, SO package detail. And then I'm going to go down and find the one that says track number. Obviously, I can just use the power of Acumatica and start typing track, and then it's going to filter down and show me where that field is. So I'm going to select that tracking number field, and I'm going to hit save. And then now the only thing I have to do to link the rest of this together, and this is a pretty simple example. We have maybe multiple carriers. So if I'm clicking on a UPS URL or tracking number, obviously I want to use the UPS track packages. If I'm on USPS, same with them. So I'm just showing you one. We would have to build some additional logic, like some if statements, in to do this for multiple carriers. So what I want to do is I want to now go to my result grid, and I want to go down to my tracking number field. So this is the output of the report. And now I want to use that URL in this instance. And again, this is where we may have to build some logic to do multiple carriers, but just wanted to keep this kind of simple for this. So once I've done all of that, just a few areas I had to modify. Now, when I run the inquiry, I'm able to, the output is now going to have my tracking number as a URL. Obviously, it's only going to work for FedEx. So it's good to kind of show your ship via in there. So I know that first line, when I click on that, it's going to open up now my FedEx package tracking, and it's going to pass that tracking number as that parameter or variable into my application, and then be able to track that package. So the other thing that is really nice about doing it this way is now we can utilize this inquiry in business events to be able to do triggered events, either push notifications or SMS texts or emails with that tracking link embedded in those notifications, because now we have it built in from the system. So hopefully that kind of sparks some wheels turning with a lot of folks, and some of the cool things that you can do with that. I'm going to go back, and we're just going to stay in this one for a little bit as well, to talk about a couple of other things that they've done. They've also enhanced the side panel component. So you'll see in this, when I run it, I'm getting a preview now. So I don't have to actually hit view inquiry to see what my generic inquiry output is going to look like. So this is kind of in my editing tool for generic inquiry. I now have the ability to do a preview. So I can see the data. I don't have to run it to see if I need to move things around. I make my changes and then hit preview again, and it gives me additional information. In this instance, like I said, I've got a side panel already established to show me the shipments form, and I'm tying to that shipments number. But maybe I also want to add my customer to this. So I want to grab a customer panel and grab that. So let me find my customer. It's this one. And I want to create a new side panel for that. So I'm going to come over to this the side panel, or the window mode, and I'm going to select side panel, and I'm going to save that. And now it opens up my right-hand side of that. And now I can grab an icon for that. And this will let me now type in and search the icons. If I want, I can set maybe this to look like a person. And then on my navigation targets and parameters, what I want to do is I want to add my account CD, which is my customer ID, and I want to link that to my customer for my shipment. So now I've created an additional side panel for my track packages inquiry, that I'm going to be able to look at my customer form and my shipment forms within the same inquiry screen, as well as now use the URL to do that. The order of those is going to be shipments and then customers. So if I run this inquiry, and then I open up my side panel, you'll see on the icons, I've got my shipments on top and my customers on the bottom. Now, if I go back, I can now drag these in the order that I want them to show now. So say I want customers to be above the shipments. I just drag that up, hit save, rerun it. And then now my customer side panel is going to show on the top and my shipments on the bottom. And then when I select that customer one, it's now going to open up my customer side panel, and I can make that bigger by dragging over the dividing line. And then as I scroll down the list, my customer is going to change when I have a customer change. So we went from a customer to USA bartender. So now within the same screen, I'm getting a lot of data, a lot of information. Well, say I now want to see the shipment information, I can go directly to my shipment form now, click on that, and I get my shipment record information all within the same screen. And again, I can just scroll through the different shipments, and then it's going to change my shipment number on the actual side panel side. So that's a really nice addition that they've done on the side panel. And then the last one in the generic inquiries is they've now added this attach notes to. So when I run this right now, it is not applicable, and it's going to associate it with really the first table that is in my link. So I don't really have anything associated there. So if I go back and say, well, I want it, it's pulling the 4 tables that I have, and I can say, well, I want it, if I associate a note within my generic inquiry output, I can now associate and target the specific table that that note is going to store against. So it's going to be the shipment, or my package detail, or my customer record, or my shipment contact. So if I want to target a shipment record, that this is where that note is going to reside. When I run this, I'm now going to get the note field on my output, and you'll see it's actually showing that on this shipment record, I have a note. That note is associated with that shipment. Now, if I go back and change that to my customer, then when I run this again, those records are now going to be associated with my customer record. So if I click on that, now I'm seeing the record from my customer. So that's a change that they made recently in this version. So now we're going to jump over to some dashboard improvements that we have. And I'm going to go down and I'm going to select our customer view. So they've added a few different additional KPI tiles that we can use. So what I want to do in this one is I want to modify this KPI card for my late orders to show it in more of a meter form. So again, I have to, the prerequisite to this is I have to be in the dashboard designer role so that I get this design button. And when I click on that button, it puts my dashboard canvas in an edit mode. And then I have the ability to go and click the pencil to edit that specific tile. And within this, now I get, you know, what is this tile made of? And I can now go down to my visualization type, and instead of it being a scorecard tile, I can actually change that to a meter tile. So this is the new thing that they've added here. And when I do that and I hit finish, it's now going to change that to like a speedometer. So I can make that a little bit bigger. And now I get a little bit different view from that. And I can see that I've got my alarm, my normal mode set to up to 20. So I'm good, anything up to 20. And then I could have a warning or red, depending on what I set my warning color to, and my normal and alarm levels. So the other thing that they've added is now these level types. So in this instance, I'm set to absolute value, which is what it was in previous versions. I only have the ability to engage with the level at a number format. So now I can actually go in and grab an inquiry field from that. So when I do that, it opens up that another field called the normal level field. And now I can look and see and do by order total, which is kind of cool. So you get more of a dynamic output on our KPIs. So we can leave that there, or if I go back and I can use a percent. So I can only use a percent on either or, the normal or the alarm. So if one's set to percent, the other one has to be an absolute. And then that way I can then go in and say, well, I want it to be 20, or I want it to be 200%, or whatever I want there. I'm going to set that to that inquiry and set it to order total. And then now this is going to be more of a dynamically driven KPI based on the value now of that order. So a couple of cool things that they've added there that allows us to adjust those KPI cards a little bit more deeper. The other thing that I want to show is they've added a new widget type called link. So this is really handy if I want to put like a button on here to jump off to another area in the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to create one that allows us to go open the opportunity screen. So I want to be able to create a new opportunity when I go in that. So it's called link. So you'll see there's a new link widget. And if I hit next, then it's going to show I can select a specific icon. I'm just going to grab the first one just to keep it easy. And then this is where I want to grab that form within the system. And grab my opportunities form. And then now there's a parameter. So what I need it to do is say, I want it to open to a new opportunity ID when I open that screen. So how do I get there? So in this instance, I want to go to my opportunity screen. And when I have a new opportunity widget up here. So I want to click on that and take me into a new opportunity. And you'll see when I do that, it's going to open up and put new in that opportunity field. So how do I get that, that information? So when I go back to the main screen, oops, let me get back here, and I click on the gear, oops, I'm sorry, the edit menu, it puts these into an editable mode. So I get a little pencil down here and I want to see what are the parameters that are associated with this new opportunity parameter tile. And you'll see at the bottom of this tile parameters, it gives me the parameters that I need to paste into my dashboard. And I'm just going to do a copy there. And then when I go back over to my dashboard, I'm going to paste that into my parameters. So this is going to allow me to create and go into a new opportunity ID when I open this form. So I'm just going to call this, and then we're going to copy that and use that as the caption as well. And then once I'm done, I hit finish. It's going to put a new link section down at the bottom in that widget area that I selected. When I uncheck the design, now when I highlight and hover over this, if I click on that button now, it's going to now take me to the opportunity screen within Acumatica and take me to a new record because of that parameters. So this is really powerful. So I can add additional kind of workflow components to a dashboard to kind of drive my users and performance and optimization there. So those are some of the ones that we wanted to kind of review in the dashboard improvement. The other one is, this is new for 21R1, is the ability to copy and paste. So I can copy a KPI or a widget from one dashboard to another. So if I wanted to add that same widget to a different dashboard, I just go into that dashboard and then hit design and then paste from that clipboard. And now I've got that same late orders KPI on a different dashboard. So that's a huge time saver when you're the person having to design these things. The other one, we're going to jump out now of dashboards and go to user-defined fields. So if you're not using user-defined fields, it's another area in the system that is extremely powerful. So this allows you to create kind of once and use in many areas within the system. Exactly what it is, user-defined fields. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one up that we already have established called color. And in this instance, I have, a color attribute. I'm using what's called a combo box or a list of values that I've defined. And I've got 5 colors here: black, blue, gray, red, and white. And I want to consume this in, say, my sales order screen. So I've set it up once. I can use it in my sales orders. I can use it in purchase, anywhere that attributes are used. And what it does in the background, it dynamically adds that attribute to that table so that then it can be used for reporting, inquiries, anything that I have access to that table. It's now added that attribute underscore color, I think is the format schema on that. So now the consumption side of this is I want to go add this into my sales order. And then the new things is we're now able to do property based on an attribute. So I'm going to go into that sales order that we looked at earlier. And to get into that, I go up to customization and I go to manage user defined fields. And when I click on that, it's going to put this into an edit mode. And now I want to click the button that says add user defined field. And now I want to search for my color attribute that we've established. And I hit OK. And when I do, it's going to add that now to my, my user defined field canvas. And if I go back and just hit discard changes, it doesn't actually do that. It actually added it. And now I have that color field attribute associated with the header of my my sales order. So now I can pick from that list of values that I defined. But I want to do a little bit more, and I want to do where if I change my order type, I want to establish a default color that's associated to that order type. So the way we get to that is I go back into my manage user defined fields. And then as I'm in this, when I go to properties, I'm now going to get a control type called order type. And I can then go in and say, if this is a quote, I want my color attribute to default to red. And then if I back out of that, it's going to, actually I have to save it, there we go. When I back out of that, if I go and add a new sales order and I change my order type to a quote, now that user defined field attribute is going to default to red. So I can kind of pre-populate my attributes based on the order type of my order. And again, I could go back and do that same thing if I wanted to change that so that when my order type was in just the standard SO, I could make it be black. And now if I'm in my SO, if I do a new one, my default value would be black once I set a customer. So can now drive those attribute defaults by the properties tab on my manage user defined fields. Just one more kind of new addition that we wanted to highlight is in the inventory. We now have a dead stock inquiry now. This is something that they've added where if I want to manage and see stagnant stock within my system, I can do that now with this screen. I have the ability, it's by warehouse. So I go in and select the warehouse that I want to look at dead stock on, and it gives me a lot of information. So I'm selecting by days of kind of stagnant or no sales. So I can do it days or date. And then what I'm looking at is, what has not been sold or in stock for the last 30 days. I can do it there. Or if I wanted to say, I want anything that hasn't had sales in the last 30 days, show those up. And then what it's going to show me is what is my current in stock quantity, my quantity on hand. And then of that in stock quantity, how much of that is not been sold in the last 30 days. So you'll see I've got some that have, so my numbers and my dead stock are less because I had some activity there. And it shows, what your average cost is on that, and then the total value of that dead stock. So, if you wanted to do fire sales, you could sort this by highest to lowest and kind of see, my industrial oven is super expensive and it's been out there a long time without any sales, potentially. And then I want to basically go in and discount or sell it if I need to. So this is something that they've added there. And again, I can do it by a date. So if I specify a specific date, it's going to look at that, anything in stock since that date or no sales since that date. So just something that they've added in this release. Well, I hope this was beneficial to you. Like we said in the last couple of webinars, we're going to be doing more and more of these as we go through and new features come out. We're going to highlight those for you. But if you have any questions, please let us know. I do have my notes like I did from last time, and I'll make those available so that you have kind of a roadmap to go off of if you go play around with these new features in 21R1.
If you guys have any questions, please put them down in the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll go ahead and answer them. If there is something that you would like to see, maybe functionality like the AP capture from PDF or something like that, just let us know. We can show you that. We can do a demo specifically for your organization. We want to make sure well, let me preface that Acumatica is totally vested in making sure that the system becomes the easiest and the more effective and efficient for your business. That's why they're creating all these new user functionality. And with AI coming in, at some point, we're just going to have to scan documents and the system will create the transactions. So the more that we can help you embrace this new functionality and make this system more user-friendly and easier for you to work with, the better it is for you. Okay. There is a question. I don't know if you can show it right now, Tim, like an invoice capture in Acumatica. I know that we have it easily accessible in 2020.
Yep, I'll have to jump out of my 21 instance and go to 2020.
2020 for sure. So it's in 2021, but we have it in the demo for 2020. We can show you that. And anything else that you guys have questions or anything like that, please go ahead and ask.
So in the well, this is 2020 R2, but in 21 R1, it works the same way. They've added a new section or module within payables called incoming documents. Mm-hmm. And this incoming documents allows you to process invoices, AP invoices, using that same optical or machine learning and artificial intelligence engine that I showed for the business card capture. It's using that same engine. It's even a step further. So within Acumatica, we can actually associate a specific email account, and I believe it has to be an Office 365 or Exchange email, that we can look into that email account and read a specific folder. So like your inbox folder within that email account. So if you have an ap@pcbennett.com email account and I want to auto process those documents, we can set that up to where we can read that folder. Anybody that sends an email into that folder, or you have rules that move emails into that folder, Acumatica will read them into this incoming documents engine and do the optical character recognition on them automatically. I have it. I don't want to show it on the fly because it's probably not going to work the way I have it on my demo now, but just know that feature works, that I can point it to a specific email account, a folder within that email, and read those documents in. I think I have, so let me pull my email up. I know I have some old ones here.
I can send you an invoice.
Yeah, so I've got one here. Let me save this one. So what I want to do is now I want to go into my file system, and I just want to drag that invoice over to my incoming document screen and release it. And then what Acumatica is going to do in the background is it's actually reading that document, that PDF, into the system. It's running the optical character recognition on it, and then it's trying to strip out as much information as it can once I run the recognition process on it. So I've loaded my invoice. And again, this could be coming from that AP at your company name email account, and it's just doing this automatically in the background. And then once it goes through the recognition process, then you can see now it's highlighting the specific areas within the document that it's, pulling up different sections. So now I can use those, and it can, figure out who the vendor is. It didn't in this instance, so I can go into that field, and then now I can select, that vendor just by highlighting that record or that area within the document. It picked up the date. Once I established that vendor, and if it auto recognized it, it would pull in my location, my terms, grab the date, so it knew that the date was 2/1. And you can see as I highlight that field, it highlights the area that it pulled that from. And then also it grabbed the total for the document. But the really cool thing is it grabbed all my PO line or my invoice lines, and it put them down in the bottom area for processing. So if I hit save and continue, once I get it all kind of, the way I need it from that standpoint, then once I hit save and continue, it's actually going to create the AP bill for me in the background. And then it should open it up. And then now I brought all my lines in, the terms, the vendor reference number. It also attaches it as a file link. So now I still have the scanned document that's now associated with this bill in the system. So quite a good time saver.
This makes it very easy to go paperless in your organization. We have one question. Will that link to the receiving as well? As of right now, it does not. So as far as I know, unless they change that in 2021, do you know, Tim? I don't think so.
No, I think it's just the AP side right now, still.
But
Yeah,
that's
just
the
for AP.
beginning. I was with a customer yesterday that was asking me, will it do sales orders? And truthfully, I don't see why not. I'm sure they'll extend it to different areas of the system.
And as we mentioned before, it's the same with the expense side. So if I wanted to create a new expense, I don't know if I have yeah, here, hang on one second. So we can just do this real quick too. We got a couple minutes left. So I want to create a new expense. At the bottom right, you'll see there's a camera picture. I'm just going to click on that on my mobile. And then again, I'm just using the camera, and as I get over it, it's having a hard time seeing it. It's going to grab it. It didn't do a great job of picking that one. It's just because the lighting is not great in here. Just make this a little more contrasted. And then when I hit done, again, it's using that same character recognition to bring that that receipt information into text form so that I don't have to type or grab that. And it definitely does. Patricia and I have seen, as we've been demoing it, it gets smarter over time. In this instance, it didn't grab that this was an office supplies, but now that I've established it for that one, if I were to scan this one again, it would pick it up and recognize that, oh, this is a Staples receipt, and those are typically office supplies. So it would have automatically put my expense item code in there for this. And then once I hit save, then now it's in my system, and now it's available. This is actually pointing to the 21R1, so I can't show it in this one, but you come over here.
One thing to note for those of you that may not know this, Acumatica now also handles corporate credit cards. So if I have a corporate credit card and I just took a customer to lunch or dinner, I can take that receipt, scan it, and automatically point that to my corporate credit card. So it's not my employee expense report. Now it goes straight into the corporate credit card so that my accounting person can then reconcile that corporate credit card. So both functions, one is for providing expense reimbursement from an employee, and the other one is to record a corporate credit card expense. And the dog ate the corner of that.
And Teresa, to answer your question, it's a new module. It's a separate module, so I can reach back out to you with what the cost is with your specific instance.
Is that for AP? Do we still have a promo on that?
I believe that it ran out in
December.
Yeah, so I'll check on that, but yeah, I'll follow up with Teresa.
Pretty soon, Acumatica is going to be cooking your dinner too. I'm gonna unmute everybody that's left.
Thanks, Rick.
So if you guys have any questions, you can unmute yourselves and and ask. Hopefully this is helpful. It showed you some new functionality, and we're always here to help implement that new functionality. Okay. Well, if nobody has any questions, then we really appreciate you attending this webinar, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
guys. Thanks.
Oh, there's one more question. Oh, it's just a thank you.